Okay, so making this as short as possible, if you need a basic photography setup for product design, you can start by deleting everything. So A and then X and then D. Shift A to add in stuff. I'd add in a plane first. I'd add in a light. You can change which type afterwards, and then add in a camera. You've got your surface, you've got your lighting, and you've got your camera. It looks like crap, don't worry about it. I use Control-Alt-0 to set my camera to whatever I'm looking at. It's really useful and quick. Lights, I like to use area lights. So if you've got in the object data properties, you've got area, it'll point at something and it's an area. So if you make it larger, you see what I mean? It's like a softbox. It kind of acts like a softbox if you've ever done real life photography. Any real life photography experience will feed into this, and vice versa. You'll learn a lot about photography through Blender. You've got your plane. I've made it larger using S to scale. Edit mode with tab. Back edge, you just select one edge. You can press 2 if you just want to select edges, or click here up here, edge select, and then E to extrude, and then Z to extrude up. You can still move that edge up, but now I'm gonna make this, that's nice and all, but it kind of looks weird if I put it in rendered view. Let's put this to like 80 watts. Okay. And then add in another one. I use Shift T to orient them wherever I'm looking. That's really useful. And this thing that I'm doing where I'm moving the camera with the usual viewport controls is actually camera to view, but I've just bound it to Control-Alt-C, which is on my mouse, a macro. You can bind anything to anything using change shortcut when you right click. Almost anything. Yeah, sign shortcut, stuff like that. Yeah, it's really useful. So back wall, get the back edge, select it, Control B, and then scroll up. It'll look a bit blocky. Don't add too many edges because you can just do right click, shade smooth in object mode. So that's edit mode, that's object mode. And then yeah, you can import your object if you've made it in a separate program like Fusion 360 or SolidWorks or Rhino. I'd suggest exporting as STL or even FBX, and if possible, if there's an option for it, OBJ as well can be quite good. Those are kind of three main ones. As a last resort, you can export as STEP, STEP, because I know there's an add-on for importing step files in Blender, but I've heard that it's kind of buggy and it's literally never worked for me. Otherwise, if you've made it in another Blender file, you just append it, and for example, if it's a sculpted object or something like that. So yeah, I'm just gonna add in some random stuff, and then just, yeah, that's my object. It's a chair. And then yeah, this is pretty much it. You've got your lighting set up. One last tip I'll give you is to kind of stand out from the crowd and also have that kind of freedom to tweak things. Go into the object data properties of your lamps, and you say use nodes, and then color, you click on the yellow dot and it'll show you a bunch of stuff, and you just select converter black body. So what this is doing is essentially it's enabled you to use nodes which you might already know about, maybe not, but all it's doing is it's plugged in this black body node with a tempera number value, temperature I imagine, and it's plugged it into the color. So if I go back in rendered view, what this number does is, if I put it for example to 5000, you'll see it actually respects, these are like Kelvin values, so real lamps use kelvins to kind of communicate color temperature, and this is used a lot in photography studios, so it's just good to know what kind of values you like to work with, and you can have any value. I've created a group node for myself that's just a bunch of values tied to words, so that I don't have to think as much, and 6K is a bit of a warm neutral tone, I'd say. And then stuff like LCD CRT, what's that? That's probably like 15K. Yeah, that's very, very cold. Studio CP Light's quite warm. Match Flame, the warmest, at least in my menu. I'm sure you can go down to 0 or something. And yeah, you can read up more about Kelvin values. There's a lot of good articles. But yeah, this is really good for doing two-tone stuff, and immediately looks way better than when they were both just neutral white, because this looks a bit surgical. It looks like you're in some kind of office, and this already looks, you know, even if you don't go completely overboard like I have, and just have, you know, one 6K and one a bit colder, well, it's still something interesting. You know, you're still kind of smoothing out the shadows on the left, and you've kind of got a main key light that's got quite a lot of character. So yeah,